Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Underdog Reviews and I watched Tremors 2 Aftershock with the tagline, the worms have turned. Yes they did. Yes they did. Yeah. I had to put down the final rating. Yeah. Oh, before I forget. Not for Slipknot, but tomorrow for the second movie I'm going to the theaters because it's gonna be a Dutch movie and I know someone that knows about the events of said movie because the movie is about real life shit, and that person you know, that person knows more about that situation. So yeah, so it's gonna be interesting because that person told me yesterday a bit about what happened, and they told me that that person told me that it's not a day. That person told me, sorry guys, car alarm. Oh, there we go. That person told me, that there was a movie coming out named The Pupil. Well, that person read it on the phone. And that made me interested to watch the movie. So tomorrow we're gonna watch The Pupil, which means the pupil, yeah, 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 like pupils, yeah, like your the person that you train, you know, your it's your I'm blanking on this. You're probably screaming, "That's this, yo!" But you know what I mean, you know, the person that you train. So I'm curious to the movie. To be honest, I have to. Obviously, I'm gonna delete it immediately, but I have to film maybe 5 minutes, the first 5 minutes or first 10 minutes of the movie because you know I have to write it down for the movie review. You know. Yeah, that's it. Let's just start with this movie, Tremors 2, Aftershocks. Sorry. We're at Petro Maya oil field in Chiapas, Mexico. And you know, we see some hills in the back, yeah, some grass and some dirt. And the camera moves to the right. And we hear some groaning. Okay. And I thought that we heard some digging noise. No, it was not digging, apparently. It was sliding. Because then we got, the camera stopped. And we see a pair of legs dangle past the screen, off the ground. And we heard the person, groan while the legs, dangled past the camera. Then we got kind of an upper shot, from the, kind of looking down, and we see that it's a man, and he is on a pipe, a big thick pipe, but he's sliding over the pipe, and that's the sound that we heard. I thought it was a digging noise, but no, he's just sliding his on his stomach over the pipe. Because there are worms, and they named them apparently. There are graboids in the ground. He dropped something. It fell on the ground. Hastily, slides further, and there it came. And then something like Bugs Bunny, they like Bugs Bunny, leaves a whole trail when he goes, when he moves on the ground, like Bugs Bunny, it left a trail, from where it was coming. And then the man, made you shriek. But we're gonna leave it at that, because if you want to know what's happening next, watch the movie yourself. I like this movie a bit more than the first movie. I don't know. The first movie just, it was alright, But this movie, it was interesting. We got to learn more about the graboids. But I also have to say that the guy that we just talked about, he did die. So that was in the first 5 minutes. So that means that it's time for my horror movie theory. Is it a good movie if somebody dies in the first 5 minutes of the movie? Well, in this instance, yes. Yes, it was a good movie. I enjoyed it. And like I said, we learned more about those creatures. Apparently they're called graboids, and they're apparently also precambrian, and the Cambrian period is one of the earliest periods from the Earth when it existed. That obviously I learned it in elementary, but why I remembered it was due to the history of the entire world, I guess, by Bill Words, I think. I've seen that video, well, 5 to 10 times. But first, on my own, and then in reaction form, 5 to 10 times, I mean. So, yeah, I kind of picked up something, and first, there were tiny specks. After, the meteors hit Earth, and then it lived on. Go watch the video yourself, But it's a kind of a soup, and then it was Cambrian explosion, so that was kind of the first animals that lived on Earth, outside of just one cell specks. And apparently these things are older than the first animals on Earth, so older than the dinosaurs. Dinosaurs. Older than the dinosaurs. Yeah, so they're old. But that makes the question: why was there never earlier evidence of these creatures, because we found evidence of dinosaurs, and these things are even older than dinosaurs. So shouldn't we have found, in the movie then, obviously, shouldn't we have found more evidence that they existed? Why was it suddenly there and now in Mexico? And apparently, they evolved, like the tagline says. What was the tagline again? The worms have turned. Yeah, they have turned. Yes, they evolved. Because apparently after the first movie, they blew every worm up, there in America. Now they're in Mexico, and after they killed 8, I think, maybe, they kind of evolved, and 3 creatures came out of the worm, out of the side, and now they can run on land. They don't move under the ground anymore. No. They run like ostrich above ground, but they look through body heat. Well, they talk through body heat, and they have infrared. You know what I mean. They can see body heat. So yeah, and if they have enough to eat, then they bleh, and ta-da, new baby. Great. So they evolve, not evolve, but they reproduce very quick, because they don't need to have sex. They just eat enough and you have a new baby. Done. Which one thing which I kind of noticeable, if you watch a lot of movies, it's kind of noticeable that in movies that you have in the first movie, you have a body movie, body. Like we had Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward. In this movie, we didn't have Kevin Bacon. We did have Fred Ward. He's back. And it's usually with those movies, in the first movie, you have 2 main characters, and then in the sequel, one of the 2 returns, but the other one, for some reason, doesn't show up. Probably because they didn't write the character, or maybe the person didn't want to play the role, so they write him out. I don't know. But the other movies that I've seen, where they did that, I can't name one on the top of my head, but I've definitely seen it. I know that for sure. Otherwise, I haven't written it down. But not that everything that I've written down is fact, but I did notice that happens in other movies too. Speaking of other movies, the CGI in this movie, not the best, but they mainly used animatronics. What the fuck is that? But they mainly used animatronics, which, it's kind of better, if you do a lot of close-ups with those things, just use animatronics, don't use CGI, because especially 2013 and all, if you don't have a high budget, it looks shit. It looks like other shit. Scooby-Doo, it looked good. In my opinion, it looked good. Even with the creatures, you saw it was CGI. It didn't blend in 100%, but it still looked good. But I've seen movies also on the channel, where it's mid 2010s, and the CGI of the movie is just utter shit because you blend it with real life. Which is, and there's the question from how? How do you do that? Because older movies look good with it. So how the fuck do you evolve? Do you go further, in time where that should be better developed, better developed technology, but it's shittier. How? How? No. But yeah, the animatronics. Big shout out to the people that made those monster animatronics because they looked great. They looked really great. Yeah, that was it. That's it. Overall, like I said, I enjoyed this movie, and I'm curious what they will do in part 3. Tremors 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, because apparently there are 7 movies as far as I know, which we're gonna watch this whole week. Yeah, so that's it. This movie 4 out of 5. Go watch the movie yourself. But obviously watch the first movie watch the first movie first, then watch this movie. Makes a bit more sense. But don't forget to leave a like, recommend the good. Infrared seeing monsters. Monsters that only look through infrared, like Predator, which we're gonna watch next week or the week after. It's next week, or next week we're gonna watch Predator, or we're gonna watch Alien, one or the other, and then the week after, it's the other one. Don't just like Predator, it watches with infrared, it looks at your body heat. Recommend a monster that does that down below in the comment section, or just a monster movie. Subscribe to the channel, subscribe to my second channel, Underdog Eats, where I do food strengths every week, also from time to time hot sauce and alcohol. On my third channel, Underdog Reacts, where I do primarily music, link down below in the description, and see you guys next time.